So we will start with 7 realities, and I know Ashok has been getting a lot of love in the reading, so let him. Given he has he's jumped in, though he was not free, so he gets to read again. Ashok.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Meher Baba ki Jai. Can I have the screen or?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just do that. Visible?
Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. The 7 realities: existence, love, sacrifice, renunciation, knowledge, control, and surrender. I give no importance to creed, dogma, caste, or the performance of religious ceremonies and rites, but to the understanding of the following 7 realities. 1. The only real existence is that of the one and only God, who is the self in every finite self. 2. The only real love is the love for this infinity God, which arouses an intense longing to see, know, and become one with its truth, God. 3. The only real sacrifice is that in this love, all things, body, mind, position, welfare, and even life itself are sacrificed. 4. The only real renunciation is that which abandons, even in the midst of worldly duties, all selfish thoughts and desires. 5. The only real knowledge is the knowledge that God is the inner dweller in good people and in so-called bad, in saint and in so-called sinner. This knowledge requires you to help all equally as circumstances demand, without expectation of reward. When compelled to take part in a dispute, to act without the slightest trace of enmity or hatred, to try to make others happy with brotherly or sisterly feeling for each one, and to harm no one in thought, word, or deed, not even those who harm you. 6. The only real control is the discipline of the senses, abstain from indulgence in low desires, which alone ensures absolute purity of character. 7. The only real surrender is that in which poise is undisturbed by any adverse circumstance, and the individual, amidst every kind of hardship, is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai.
Great. Thank you, Avtar Meher Baba Ki Jai. So I have a question to start the discussion. So I've seen the representation of the 7 realities in a step form in many of the centers, right? So is there a significance to the sequence, and is there a significance to the use of steps in the imagery? Anybody?
Yeah, if I can
Sure, go
venture
ahead.
perceptions, this might be. This is just my.
No, I don't want
I think
perception. I want fact. But you can try first. Yeah, you can tell me perception.
there's one in the Pune center as well. I think it means that the real surrender is the last stage of reaching closer to God. That's it. I mean, that's my firm belief. You have to surrender everything, and that's where the Manona stage comes in. And also, many of these 7 realities are practical, uh, you know, uh, sort of to do on how to be on the spiritual path. That's what I can say. Anybody else can add.
Yeah, anybody else? That's good. I mean,
Yeah.
that's obviously one positive and clear interpretation. Sanjay?
Yeah, I think not sure about the other ones, but the surrender is the last. As Baba has said, that love and then obedience and ultimate surrender. So we just keep, these are the 3 final steps.
That,
Jai Baba.
that is what Rama says. Yes.
Kama, any thoughts from your side?
You're talking about which of the 7 realities are important?
No, I'm not talking about their relative importance. I'm talking about the visual representation as a staircase or steps in most of the centers. Is that something with some more deeper meaning than, or is there a reference where Baba has mentioned it as a climbing sequence of from a journey standpoint? Is what I wanted to know.
Yeah, I think my understanding is very simple. I think it's an ascension and descension. I think in beams or something in the last chapter,
There's a staircase, yeah.
if you remember the evolution part, 7 steps, and involution, 7 steps,
Correct. Yes.
So that is one way of looking at it. So I think it is much more of a symbolic thing, a graphical representation rather than taking anything from it.
Okay.
The way I look at the 7 realities is it can be divided into 2 aspects: right knowledge and right action. As I said, right knowledge is only 1% inspiration, and right action of thoughts, words, and deeds is the 99% perspiration. So, existence, love, right existence, right love, right knowledge. I think those 3 comes under the category of right knowledge in my book, and the other 4 comes under the aspect of right action. How to go about it. So
So
that is
love can actually slip into the other side. Love is
yeah,
expression. Love is
it's both ways. I
yeah.
mean, because we talk about infinity, we talk about truth. The word love has many connotations. It's the Brahman, self, divine love, truth, existence. All kinds of ambiguous English words. So,
Yeah. So sorry for the deviation, but this is important. I think let's dwell even as much as we can on the 7 realities as we go through this journey, because it's important to see how things tie back. That is the DAG's journey, Discourses and God Speaks, how it ties back into the 7 realities, and also how we are progressing in reflecting and internalizing the 7 realities in our own journeys. How is our ascension going? Right. So, with that, I know we had a bad week. I hope there's some good news from Ravi. I'm talking about the questions. We didn't make too much progress. I was busy. I could not spend time on this. So, I don't know if in the back we have some exciting good news that we have questions for the last chapter. Ravi?
Yes, Karthik, I have created some questions on the formation of, what is the chapter? Formation and function of
Formation, yeah.
Sanskaras. Yeah.
Functions. Yeah, great.
To show now or later or what?
Sure, right away. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Jai Baba.
So Mama was saying he was a bit busy at work, so his apologies as well. So Ravi, thank you so much for taking the lead on this and spending time.
I was crazy busy. Actually, I was crazily busy.
Make us feel worse,
And
yeah.
I said, Baba, you have to give me chance. If you give me, I'll present. Otherwise, I'll just say sorry. And today, Baba gave me a chance to add more questions on that. So Baba is kind.
Okay, so let's do this. Now let's do this in a slightly different way. I'll just go through the subtitles, or maybe you can go through the subtitles and then launch into the questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before that,
You
Ravi,
go ahead. You have the PDF. I'll tell you the page number, maybe. Yeah, Mama.
No, Ravi, you would have received the questionnaire set of questions from Rashid, Khalid, and Cherry, I think.
Yes, Mamaji. I have received.
Okay.
From Sherry, I received New Humanity, and from Khalid, I received the next chapter, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe sometime during the week, let's spend some time on organizing this. Maybe we can just create a common document and work on it. That was Kama's simple idea. So we can just create a Google Doc or a Word doc and work on it so that if, let's say, the example Khalid did it, Khalid just creates a link, puts that link on Trello, updates the questions, leaves it there. Anybody else jumps in, updates as well, and then we finally work. The academic board finalizes the question and makes it a PDF, something like that, right? So we could keep it simple to start with. With that, yeah, walkthrough of the chapter followed by questions. Over to you, Ravi.
All right. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right. The questions are from the formation and function of sanskaras. First question. What are the two aspects of human experience based on subjective and objective types?
The question is a tough one. Aspects.
Actually, easy one, in my opinion. We go through every experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last time we talked about it, actually, about this.
Yes.
And we talked about an
No,
example.
the way it's worded is my problem. So, what are the two aspects of human experience based on subjective and objective types? So,
Yeah.
we understand subjective and objective, but what are the aspects of human experience? I do not know, but go ahead.
This is the first
Line,
on
okay,
this
great.
formation of
Yeah.
analysis of human experience. And Baba talks about objective and subjective experiences. The mental processes are partly dependent upon the immediately given objective situation. We know what is objective situation without anybody's feelings, what happened in the objective world. And then how individually feels based on that particular action, feelings and emotions, all these things together is a subjective experience. Function of partly dependent upon the functioning of the accumulated sanskaras or impressions of the previous experiences. That is the answer for
Yes,
that.
I have a note on this. Experiences are two types, objective and subjective.
Mm-hmm.
So objective is world experience. They create latent samskaras, more of gross samskaras. So whereas subjective are samskaras which are subtle or leading to desires later on. This is what the gist I have written on my book.
Okay. So here Baba says when the sanskaras plays about any experience, that is more subjective experience.
So, can you go back to the question for a minute?
Sure.
Because I think the question itself, two aspects of human, the two aspects of human experience based on subjective and objective types. Okay.
Okay.
Because I think if you go back to the first line in Discourses in the chapter, it says there are two aspects of human experience, subjective and objective, right? So, so you're better off saying explain the two aspects of human experience, subjective and objective.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, I can change that.
Yeah, no problem.
Next question. In computer, files are saved in hard drives. Where are the sanskaras are stored in the individuals?
Baba smiling.
Simple
Mental
question.
bodies, mind.
It's mind or
Mind,
mental sphere.
mental drive. Answer. Okay, good. How are sanskaras are formed?
Two words.
Intelligent action and intelligent.
Go ahead, Ashok.
I said thoughts, words, and deeds and deeds, intelligent action and unintelligent action.
Very good.
Why do you want to bring intelligent and unintelligent? Actions create
He's
sanskaras.
going to out of scope answer.
Okay, action.
Ashok said intelligent and then kind of hesitated, you know. Oh my God, am I going to be in trouble now with Ravi?
Just my heart out. Just,
Ashok, your answer is
thoughts are
absolutely
coming out. I'm not even.
no. That's correct answer, Ashok. Ashok. Thoughts, deeds, and actions. Any action. Thought is an action. Deed is an action. You know.
Yeah, thoughts.
Feeling.
The I mentioned in many places that the intensity of thoughts is less words, and the intensity of actions is less than the earlier two.
Yeah. Whatever. All these three. Any action we do with the mind create a sanskara. That's correct.
Jai Baba,
Oh,
on
sorry.
sanskaras, yeah, how are sanskaras formed? First of all, we have to explain, I think we have to define each and every term. What is sanskaras? So sanskaras are impressions or imprints created by the action of thoughts, action of words, action of deeds. Action of thoughts creates mental sanskaras. Action of words creates subtle sanskaras, and action of deeds create gross sanskaras.
Mhm.
So we also know that the action of deeds creates powerful sanskaras, and action of words create strong sanskaras, whereas the action of thoughts, which we can't control, creates weak sanskaras. That is why Baba said, don't have to control thoughts, but don't convert the thoughts into words or action of deeds, as per the prayer of repentance. Jai Baba.
Good answer, Kama. We had the same question last time, right?
Yeah, we
Very-
had the discussion on this. Yes.
All right. How do you get gross, subtle, and mental sanskaras in a person?
That was just answered now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I think
Just
I just
answered
answered
that.
that. But I remember two powerful words Baba uses for impressions which have been impressed upon me last reading. I think the words he used were modification and deposit. Both are very powerful and signify what actually happens, right? So
Mhm.
modification, impressions are modifications of the mental mind, mental body, and deposits. Both are keywords that I took away.
But Baba, modifications can be looked upon as spending sanskaras, an interpretation. That is existing sanskaras which are being spent. So new sanskaras are created,
Have been created,
which
yeah.
can be looked at as modification of sanskaras. And new sanskaras that are being
Deposits.
created can be looked upon as the other one. Jai Baba.
Very good. Very good.
Jai Baba, isn't it related to thought, deed, and action, gross, subtle, mental? I mean, in the reverse order. What Kama said
Yes.
a while ago.
Yes.
Gross means deed. Subtle means not thought.
Word.
Word. And
Word.
mental means thought.
Correct.
Good. That's right,
Yeah,
Vivek. So one more question. Explain the difference between natural and non-natural sanskaras. Simple question.
Yep.
Only few people can answer, not everybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Kama, no, not you. Kama is restricted to answer simple questions. We need you only for complicated answers. Natural and non-natural sanskaras.
Subhuman, human.
Natural is organic sanskaras, natural evolution. The way to relate the word natural would be through evolution process, mineral, plant, animal, human kingdom. And as we all know, when we become human beings, we become artificial. We make artificial laws, so we can call it non-natural, correct? So that becomes, non-organic and non-natural. So I think that's the way to kind of relate to the organic and non-organic sanskaras. It is also called subhuman sanskaras, natural sanskaras, and unnatural sanskaras are human sanskaras, which we have to make the effort to dissolve with the grace and blessings of Baba, whereas the non-natural sanskaras can be only eradicated by the grace of the Guru.
Grace.
Non-natural
Probably
or
stole away
natural?
one question from the next question. Probably. Mama.
Sorry, natural sanskaras. Natural sanskaras
No,
can be eradicated
yes.
by the grace of the Guru. Correct. Sorry.
Yeah.
Non-natural, what we create, we have to eliminate. Natural ones which stick around for a long time, maybe the grace of perfect master is required. Okay.
Actually, most of the non-natural sanskaras arises based on the natural sanskaras we have.
Yes, that is also true.
Correct.
How are natural and non-natural sanskaras depend on each other?
Natural sanskaras are independent variables, whereas non-natural sanskaras are dependent variable, which you just answered earlier.
Exactly.
That the non-natural sanskaras are dependent. The lust, greed, anger that human beings suffer from are from the animal kingdom, which we carry through evolution and reincarnation.
Yeah. How come nobody else is answering? Only Kama is answering. What happened to all the people?
Sorry, I will stop now. I'll let them just answer.
Come on, guys.
Kama,
Okay.
you shouldn't answer.
Come on in. Don't have to feel bad. You answered wrong. Nothing wrong in answering wrong. We are learning. We're all learning. This is not a test. This is a learning tool. I have to create, but please participate.
Can you call it an unlearning tool?
Not yet. Good point.
Unlearning the ignorance because we are latently perfect, but unfortunately due to sanskaras we are ignorant.
Yeah.
There is a cycle there, right? So cycle, we have to first learn and unlearn. All right, getting rid of natural sanskaras are very easy. True or false? People who have been talking, they need to talk.
Yeah, I'm
Ravi, true. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's true.
Why? Tell me why.
Because see, natural sanskaras are acquired during the evolution process. But the non-natural sanskaras are when we have a human mind which has got intellect to decide the good, bad, and ugly. And so that's when we have to use our discretion, our discretionary intellect to classify which are good, bad, and ugly, and then take action, which I think again comes to intelligent action.
Okay.
If anybody wants to add to that, but this is my perception. This is what I have understood. That
I don't think
your answer is wrong. Yeah,
your
actually,
answer
false.
is wrong.
Yeah, it's actually false, Ashok. It's counterintuitive. So if you read carefully, what he says is the natural sanskaras are much difficult to get rid of because they are over the process of evolution, and that can be done only with the grace of a perfect master. Whereas individuals' effort can help in neutralizing the non-natural sanskaras.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Yes,
thanks.
That's the correct answer. All right. One more question is based on this, which is not here yet. Let's say we didn't care. We are uncontrollably exercising our natural sanskaras. Does perfect master help us in that situation?
What's that again?
We have natural sanskaras, right? Natural sanskaras.
Yeah.
We have the ability to distinguish, okay, I'm doing this and this is based on natural sanskara, and I'm doing this is based on non-natural sanskaras. Now, okay, God, perfect master is going to get rid of my natural sanskaras. So can I indulge in natural sanskaras for the spiritual elevation?
Absolutely not.
Okay, why?
Your ability to be even selected by a perfect master for release of the natural sanskaras would be dependent on how you uh, uh, deal with your natural sanskara to start with. Did we lose Ravi? Yeah, I think so. We'll jump back. Others, any responses?
No. The whole process is trying to get rid of sanskaras. The first aspect of that is to become aware of the samskaras which are attached are bound to you. So that is awareness is the first aspect, and then once you become aware with the idea that this is binding me, you have to struggle or you have to make your effort to get rid of that. So you can't just say read a sentence and say master will come and remove my
Yeah.
sanskara. That is not the logic here. So we need to do our effort, and in this effort we are drawn to the master, and master takes the final lead out of or the final thing he will do. But
Yes.
unless we have an effort, we will not progress in the spiritual path. We need to do our part of it. Yeah, Baba.
Great. Mamaji, I think I was kicked out. I don't know why. I joined again. And I
Yeah, we
heard the
noticed.
last part of it, and I think I agree with you. We need to put our sincere effort to
Yes.
control our natural sanskaras, especially the lust part of it.
In the
Yeah.
first part of my answer, I told the first aspect about sanskaras is becoming aware that these are
Recognition.
binding us. So
Yes.
one is we are all coming to that level of awareness, and then once you have become aware, you need to do something on your own to get rid of that.
Exactly.
Yes.
You're
So
right,
the
Mama.
process is now we are all recognized it in a short while or as early as possible. One of us is going to become a perfect master, and he will take care of all of our natural sanskaras. Right, Mama?
Yes.
Very good. Good answers. Thank you.
So, Doc Mama, well said. What you're saying is Vivek and Vairagya, which is the awareness part where you need to have discrimination, and Vivek, and Vairagya is dispassion. So, the perfect master is like a life coach or a PhD guide. He's going to guide you, but you have to make the effort. He's going to give us that 1% inspiration, but we have to do the 99% perspiration or effort. As Baba said, intense effort and infinite patience. So that is why I think right knowledge is important for having Vivek and Vairagya to go on the path. Jai Baba.
Yes, Kama summarizes it in the strict glossary of, say, God
Spiritual
speaks
words.
and typical words which can crystallize things for the uh, creation of a new book itself, I think. Thank you, Kama.
The progressive manifestation of life through evolution is ultimately brought about by dash, which is inherent in the infinite.
Will to be conscious.
Great. If you read the chapter, you will know the answer.
Yes,
Otherwise,
I
it's hard to
actually
miss.
heard this in audio, and then will to be conscious is
That's
the
right.
driving force. Yeah.
Yeah. How can we achieve the process of wearing out of old sanskaras?
Ravi, if I may add, this is part of the answer. A lot of suggestions or answers are there in the seven realities.
Yeah, go ahead, Ashok. Go ahead, answer.
So the real existence is one part which also gives a lot of suggestions on how to wear out our sanskaras.
Mhm. Okay, I think I might have created this question, probably not in this chapter.
Sequence, yeah. Oh,
No,
okay. Okay, it's from the.
let's
Got it.
postpone this. Okay, I think.
I
What
think
is lahar? What is
grace-
lahar?
Grace of the master.
What is that?
How can we achieve the process of wearing out of old sanskaras?
Mhm.
I think it is the grace of the master.
I think that's the last answer. There are 5 aspects Baba was talking about. That is the last aspect. The first aspect is wearing out samskaras happens when you don't act on any of the feelings you get. They wear out. But anyway, we'll come to this chapter. We will answer that kind of a question. Now, connected with this chapter, what is lahar? We have also read God Speaks. We heard this term, lahar. So, what does it mean?
It means everything and nothing. So lahar, whim, unexplainable sort of instinct in the oversoul or God to know oneself.
Yeah.
That is lahar.
Vim, I think, Mamaji, your answer, Vim is correct, but not everything and nothing. Because Vim comes out of nothing, right? Nothing is in the part of everything. Is not the answer is not nothing and everything, but it is Vim. Vim is the Vim or Lahar. That's how that comes out of nothing. From the everything. Okay. Any question on that? Huh? You're not convinced? You can open.
I'm just thinking on that. Okay.
Oh, you can open God Speaks and you can read that in the 2nd chapter, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Intellectual capability is absolutely required to grasp the mystery of the creation. True or false?
We have gone to the next chapter, is it?
No, same chapter.
I would say true. I don't know. I'm guessing.
Okay, where did I write this? Intellectual capacity is not sufficient. That is false. What we need is analogy. Where did I read that? Analogy.
Could you rephrase it as only intellectual aspect only required or something more, something like that,
Yeah, I think word only will make that
intellectual capability is
alone. So you can say intellectual capability alone.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Is required to grasp the mystery of creation. And here is the answer. As all intellectual categories necessarily turn out to be inadequate for grasping the mystery of creation, the nearest approach to understanding its nature is not through intellect, concept, but through analogy.
Keyword.
See, analogies are given for understanding metaphysical concepts. So I think here the interpretation of the sentence has to be carefully, examined. So when we talk about Vivek and Vairagya, Vivek means discrimination. To attain discrimination, you need intellectual concepts or understanding the universal laws of nature. But definitely knowledge, intellectual knowledge is not going to provide self-actualization because that is only theory. Just like 1% inspiration is theory, 99% is the effort or practice that Baba talks about, theory and practice. So intellectual capability is a kind of a tool where people who are nano yogis would use that. But for pure bhakti mark, you don't need intellectual capability because you have the gift of pure love. Jai Baba.
Okay. Next question. The Lahar creates myriads of individual souls out of indivisible infinity of our soul. True or false?
True.
What do you say, Mamaji?
True.
Yeah, that is correct. It is true, right? The Lahar, the whim,
Yeah.
creates myriads of individual souls out of bubbles are created. And they are all created in our soul. What is the mysterious point through which comes forth the variegated manyness of creation?
Oh,
Oh, point.
Who said that? Ooh. It's Om. Aum. A-U-M. Aum. Om point.
Yep.
Ravi, you want to say the Lahar as the most original Vim, MOW, because Vim is also something that happens to human beings. So the technical word would be most original Vim or the first initial urge.
Yeah, good point. In the evolutionary progress, whose consciousness is evolving?
Soul's consciousness.
The apparently individuated soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, but individual
Yeah.
soul is nothing but God Himself, right?
Yes.
Is the God's consciousness is evolving. Unconscious part of the God
Is evolved. Correct.
is
That's what he
evolving.
says, yes. Perfect.
It's a very good question. Good question. Very good
Yes,
question.
very
You
good
can say that drop soul
Moving
Jivatma,
from one.
the
Mhm.
consciousness, which is basically, you can call it the state to a infinite unconsciousness, which distributes itself as multiple drop souls.
Yeah.
So that consciousness of each drop soul is evolving through the different kingdoms.
Yeah. When consciousness is fully developed in human, what is obstructing him from experiencing the oversoul?
The burden of samskaras.
The
Right.
veil of samskara.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever you call it. The sanskaras are the one who are obstructing. Very good. Yeah, once consciousness is evolved through evolution, and now he has to consciousness is evolved through acquiring the sanskaras, and now in human being they become obstruction for his realizing God. So they have to deal with the sanskaras, and that is what the journey is. What analogy did Baba give the acquisition of sanskaras?
Yes.
The person with the cloak and the nail in the graveyard.
That is
No,
what do you call that? That example he gave to
Oh,
show.
for the power of samskaras, for acquisition, it is the stick and the winding.
Exactly.
Okay,
And what
got it.
represents the stick?
Mind.
Mind. Exactly. Winding of the rope around the
Yep.
stick, and the
Yeah.
stick represents the mind of the
Mind.
soul. Exactly. IVDUs tried to send a recreation vehicle to Mehrajad in 1944 for Baba tours, and somehow that did not happen. When Baba acquired the Mehrajad location. So I created my own question here, not from the
Yeah,
book.
interesting.
What sort of a sanskaras did she create in this attempt?
Gross
This is
samskara.
more contextual unless we have the clear picture of the story behind it, I don't think I will be able to answer it.
Okay, let's assume consequences, Mamaji. Let's
So I
give.
think to further add on to Mama, that's a data's insufficiency question. I agree, but at a minimum, it has created gross sanskaras because she sent something which is physical and then used it for something physical, right? So there's an action, there's deed,
Okay.
but there's a
We can
likelihood
assume.
that she had both mental and subtle as well.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think what Karthik said is quite right. I think she is creating gross, subtle, and mental sanskaras, or the other way around, where she has the thought, where she's, for the Baba tours. So she has the thought, then the thought makes her do this, where she decides to send Baba this vehicle. And also, if somebody doesn't know uh, the background of this particular situation, I think it would be difficult to pinpoint exactly what you're referring to. But definitely, it is a combination of all three sanskaras, because I think the thought has produced the desire, and the desire has produced the action of deed where she sends that vehicle. That's how I would interpret it. Jai Baba.
Yeah. The purpose of creating this question in my thought is to create some discussion around it. And of course, I knew that this situation is not completely given. There are two situations, right? One is I would use maybe thinking, I would like to send this to Baba, and Baba would be pleased. Baba is God. Okay. And she's doing service for the avatar. She already knew Baba was an avatar at the time, and she is God. She understands that. So anything we do for God, we don't create any sanskaras. If she is done doing this, I'm sending it to Baba, and that I-ness, if she promotes her I-ness, then she creates the sanskaras. If the I-ness is not there, Baba will be using this vehicle for his Baba's avataric work. You see the difference? There's a slight difference there. How she thinks about this, doing this action. That is the fundamental thing that what creates the sanskaras. If we do anything for Baba, to please Baba, we don't create any sanskaras. Whereas I am doing this for Baba, where the proportion of I-ness is more. That is when we create sanskaras. See, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna clearly says, okay, if you do any action without self-involved, if you do any action for me, the karma what you create will be evaporated, just like water drop falls on a lotus leaf. All the action will be falls off from binding. That is what it says. So that's what my idea was to create this question. So there's an assumption of with what thought the IV does try to send the vehicle.
Jai Baba, Ravi, I have today only I was reading this in the morning. It's a very interesting point that you brought out. This is in the book Life at its Best. And this is the second part. The title is called The Real Gift. So if you guys don't mind, I'll just read it to kind of supplement what he's just said. What is meant by the real gift? If a gift is to be real, then both the giver and receiver of the gift must forget the transaction completely. To forget completely would mean that the giver should not feel he has given and the receiver should not know he has received. If the giver does not forget, then he or she has obligated the receiver. And if the receiver does not forget, he or she experiences a sense of obligation towards the giver. The real gift of love bestowed on man comes from God alone, and remembrance is absent in both the one who gives and the one who receives. Because of this complete forgetfulness, man can strive eternally to love God, and God remains the eternal beloved for mankind. How can God, who is omniscient, forget? Because unless he forgets, the gift he bestows upon man cannot be the real gift that it is. Man, too, is left in ignorance of the operation of this gift, through which he ultimately realizes his godhood. When the omniscient bestows the real gift of love, he manifests his complete forgetfulness of it by apparently becoming callous towards his lovers. Hence, the untold sufferings on the path of love that are experienced by the lovers of God, as also the unimaginable pangs of separation felt by them for their only beloved God. Because God is omniscient and knows the real meaning of the real gift, he becomes callous towards his lover, who, absorbed in the profound depth of God's love, becomes oblivious that he or she loves him and that it is a gift from him, and hence loves him ever more intensely. It is this forgetfulness which arouses in the lover the unallayed pangs of separation and consumes him or her in the ever growing fires of this incomparable love, from which he or she emerges in the image of his or her beloved in triumphant and eternal unity. Jai Baba. So I think it's an interesting extension to what he just said, that if probably IV Deuce was giving, knew the real meaning of the real gift, probably, and that also will only happen with Baba's love, right? Jai Baba.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah. So fundamentally, what we have to understand is that when we give a gift to anybody, we don't feel I am giving. We feel it is the God who is giving. As long as we involve God, then we don't collect any more sanskaras. That is the secret of that. Can we
Excellent.
proceed?
Can we?
Yeah.
Can
Go ahead,
we
Ashok.
Thought-provoking question. Thank you.
Yes. Can we paraphrase this as giving a gift without remembrance and without any expectations? Means you're giving it with a pure intention of giving, but not without any intention of getting any benefit or receiving a gift back. It's just a gift is sort of a gesture of appreciation without any expectation. Can we put it that way?
That's in a way, well, no. When you're giving, do you have the feeling I am giving the gift? I know you're not expecting anything, but do you have the feeling I am giving the gift?
So what is the takeaway from this?
See, on another note, I'll tell you the way to look at it is Desmond Tutu, the Nobel Prize winner for the apartheid thing. He, when the South Africans were being, they were all those atrocities that they did during the apartheid. So he said, I can forgive, but I can't forget. So, in the same note, if you look at it, I am giving a gift, but I don't have any expectation. But the thought is still there, that I have given this gift without any expectation. That is also a sanskara. So you
Yeah.
have to even forget. There should not be any remembrance, ideally, that you have given a gift to somebody without any expectation. That is my understanding. Okay, Babu.
Yeah, that is right, Kama. But see, this is a practice we have to do. How do we stop creating sanskaras? The moment you are involved, you mean separate, right? I am separate from God. That is the one which you have been creating sanskaras all along. Here, we are unwinding all these sanskaras. In the elimination process, we have to identify with the God's nature. If you identify with the God's nature, you feel oneness with the God. And then when you are giving any gift, it is not Ashok who is giving the gift. That is what he was feeling before. You gave a gift to your son, for example. You may not say, hey son, I am giving you a gift, but out of your love, there's no I or you comes in there, but you certainly have a feeling, I'm giving a gift to my son, but with love, without an expectation. But that thing is there, I-ness is there. As long as we have I-ness, I consciousness, I am doing this, then we are creating sanskaras. See, in
So
Bhagavad
Ravi,
Gita, just one second.
Ravi,
One second.
Oh, sorry.
Let me finish this.
Go ahead.
In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says number of examples. Even when you are winking, the eyelids closing, you may not think that you are closing it, but you should feel Krishna is operating that. When you're listening, Krishna is listening. When you are talking, when you are tasting, Krishna is tasting. Even Krishna said in the same slokas, even when you are defecating, you should feel it is the Krishna who is doing it. Then you don't create any sanskaras. So he is very clearly saying, when I consciousness comes in, there we are creating sanskaras. Jai Baba. Come on, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, Jai Baba, Ravi, I think what you said initially about any gift that you're giving, if we look at it that it's God's gift that we are offering to somebody. So to look at one of the chapters in Discourses, it is the chapter on dynamics of spiritual advancement, which is page 252, where provisional working ego is one way of, offering everything to God. Provisional working ego definition is that the good, the bad, and the ugly, whatever we do, if you're able to surrender everything to the perfect master and not take credit for anything, and this way one is able to start surrendering oneself. Jai Baba.
Yeah, very beautiful chapter. That chapter is very nice. 242, right?
252. 25.
Huh?
252. 252.
Yeah, 252.
I think you should read that paragraph on provisional working ego because that will add a lot of value to what you just said.
Yeah. See, there in the same chapter, I think, he said, before you do anything, think master is, see, he's a provisional ego. Can you see my screen?
No, we can't see your screen.
Oh, we can't? I'm sorry, something happened here. My desktop. Can you see now?
Yes.
Okay. In the same chapter, what Kama is saying about constructive new ego subservient to master. To avoid inaction to the one hand and pride of action on the other, it is necessary for the aspirant to construct in the following manner a provisional and a working ego that will entirely subservient to the master. Before beginning anything, the aspirant thinks that it is not he who is doing it, but the master who is getting it done through him. After doing the task, he does not tarry to claim the results of the action or enjoy them, but becomes free of them by offering them to the master. By training the mind in this spirit, he succeeds in creating a new ego, which through only provisional and working is amply able to become source of confidence, feeling, enthusiasm, and go that true action must express. This new ego is spiritually harmless since it derives its life and being from the master who represents infinity. And when the time comes, it can be thrown away like a garment. See, very beautifully explained. This is what we need to practice. Before we do anything, it is Baba who is doing this. After that, and you have to do a good job. And that's fine. If you have to use your ego, I have to do a good job, that's fine. But after finishing the work, then you feel it is Baba who has done the work. Baba, I offer you all this result to you. This simple action will take us a long way. Jai Baba. Where are we? All right. Are you guys there?
Yes, very much here.
Oh,
Yeah. So third
yeah, I'm
question on the
losing.
slide. The mind contains.
I see. Some time ago, I lost the network connection, so I thought, well, you guys are there,
No, I
seriously
was trying to
pondering
share.
on.
No,
Huh?
I was sharing the I mean the gift text. I was sharing the screen. I don't know whether it was visible though.
No.
Oh, you.
Oh, okay. So something happened. So that's when you lost it.
Oh,
Go ahead now.
okay. I think I'm
Third
sharing.
question
That's
of the
why
slide.
probably. Okay, last question, I think here.
No, the third one. Yeah. Mind
third one.
contains. Yeah.
The mind contains many heterogeneous sanskaras. What happens while they seek expression in consciousness? We create confusion and chaos.
And create newer sanskaras.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, this is a very tough question because there are two types of sanskaras. One is the heterogeneous sanskaras, one is the homogeneous sanskaras.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at the mind, you have the conscious mind and you have the subconscious mind. The mind is like the iceberg. Only 1/7 is visible, which is the conscious mind. My understanding of those three chapters, especially I think the second one, what he says, I think probably it will come when you read the elimination of the ego. I think in the second chapter, he discusses this aspect of heterogeneous and homogeneous sanskara. So I'll try to keep it short. Most of us are dealing with sanskaras that are in the conscious mind, the roti kapada makan, the daily challenges. But actually, in the subconscious mind is all the repository of sanskaras from the evolutionary state and also the sanskaras that we have spent in different human births. So what happens is that Baba has said when we take different births as a male or female, we actually come with a script to work on particular sanskaras. Okay, that is number one. Number two is on our daily life, when we are dealing with our sanskaras and we resolve those sanskaras, what happens is there are these pending sanskaras waiting to come out into the surface. That is from the subconscious to the conscious. So he describes in detail, it's a beautiful answer for, especially for psychiatrists, who are dealing with people with, mental patients and all that, people who are dealing with challenges. So the mind can only deal with things that it can handle. So it needs homogeneous sanskaras, So I think this is something that needs to be talked about later when we read that chapter on ego and termination. Jai Baba.
Here, the mind contains many heterogeneous sanskaras. And while seeking expression in consciousness, they often clash with each other. The clash of sanskaras is experienced in consciousness as a mental conflict, chaotic and enigmatic, of full oscillations, confusion, and complex tangles until consciousness is freed from all sanskaras as good and bad. Anyway, I think that finish. In what phase of soul does unwinding of the past sanskaras happen?
It is continuously happening. What phase of soul does unwinding of past sanskaras happen?
Involution phase.
Exactly right. See, soul journey can be divided into three phases, right? One is what is that called? Evolution. In the human phase, reincarnation, and the third phase is involution. So, in the involution phase, sanskaras gets unwound.
You can slightly modify the question. In what phase of the journey of the soul does unwinding of the past sanskaras happen?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That completes
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Very good.
Also, Ravi, the previous question, I think you can, one of us should refer, keep a note on this page 168 to 169 in Discourses, which will give you a much more detailed explanation of that particular question. 168 to 169, nature of the ego and its domination.
Okay. 158 to 159.
168 to
168.
Okay. Discourse 3 or 2 or 2, I think, right?
Physical book
Part
168.
2.
Yeah, must
Yeah.
be.
Okay. Very good. That finishes the quiz for today. And we will
What
do.
a quiz. It was fantastic.
I have a suggestion regarding this. So if we can structure such that we will have a quiz on a particular chapter announced earlier, so that
We can
those who
read.
want to do some homework beforehand can be prepared well also.
I think Karthik was saying, Mamaji, that we're going to do after
Just
every
after.
chapter we
Yes.
read.
Yes, but which chapter
Yes.
we were not sure, no?
Oh, I see.
So, but this was the chapter we finished. So sorry for the lack of clarity
Ravi.
on that point. And Ravi, you're right. So we will take up the chapters immediately so that our ability to absorb is better. So if
Yes,
you recollect
that
what I
would
was
be
saying,
better.
after you finish the reading over the weekend, my request to all of you is to reread that chapter by yourself slowly, listen to the audiobook multiple times, and gather these concepts clearly, so that when you're faced with Ravi's grilling, the viva, we are able to register these concepts. So I think that's my humble request to all of you.
Yes.
That's
So,
great.
Vipul,
All of you guys are thinking. So that makes, I feel Baba is working on you guys.
I'm
And
so
all of us.
amazed.
Yeah.
I'm so amazed at how Baba has worked on this group, in the sense that we're doing this intensive learning exercise, and the way all of us have aligned to work together on this is just so amazing. Thank you, Baba. So, Vipul has asked a question. Is that from The Life at Its Best? Vipul?
What is Vipul's question?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. So, Kama, if you can give a quick answer, great. Otherwise, we can. Are you seeing
What
the
is the
text?
question?
So, if you can open the chat, yeah. Go up, man. Yeah.
What's Vipul's question?
Can you see it on screen? Man cannot act with true freedom in the present because he drags with him his binding past. He goes on, inevitably creating suffering for himself and others, and also accumulating the self created impressional or sanskaric moments, which constitute the fortresses of the limiting ego mind. The past cannot be changed and has, as a chain of incidents, become petrified, but it continues to mold the present and shape the future of the limited I. What would it mean is the question.
Which which part of life at its best? Which page number?
Let me check. It's page number 32.
Can you just open that up, please? Page number 32.
What book is that? Beams or?
Life at its best. If you want me to open it, I will open it.
I don't
30,
have the book.
32. Last paragraph on page 32.
Right. So man cannot act with true freedom in the present because he drags with him his binding past. So the way to interpret the sentence is that we are always being told live in the moment, be here now, live in the present. But we are a victim of our sanskaras, which is basically about the past. He goes on inevitably creating suffering for himself and others, and also accumulating the self created impressional or sanskaric momenta, which constitute the fortresses of the limiting ego mind. So this is again Dr. C.D. Deshmukh's PhD
At its
English
best.
literature with a very complicated sentence. Let's make it very easy. So I think what he's talking about is that because we are a victim of sanskaras, we create unintelligent action, which is spending sanskaras, and create fresh new sanskaras, in the process harming others and harming ourselves, and also accumulating the self-created impressional or sanskaric momenta. So basically, we are adding on to the bank of sanskaras which we already have, and creating a very, very powerful fort of sanskaras, which is the limiting. The past cannot be changed and
वजन दो
has.
समझो मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता.
Hello, somebody mute, please. The past cannot be changed and as a chain of incidents become petrified. So the past cannot be changed and as a chain of incidents. So naturally, as we keep on spending sanskaras, it becomes more petrified, but it continues to mold the present and shape the future of the limited I. So see, the big picture is that in 84 lakh lifetimes, if I understand it right, every Atma will get liberation, nirvana, not nirvikalpa samadhi. Every soul has the latent potential to attain nirvana or liberation. The, the assistance of a perfect master or an avatar is to shorten this 84 life human cycles. So that is why it says the past cannot be changed. Of course, we know that we can't go to the past, but we can only either react or spending sanskaras, or respond by not reacting to the sanskaras by doing intelligent action. So it will mold the present and shape the future, because the present, if you look at past, present, future, these are only terminologies. Present is the eternal now, past is yesterday's present, and future is tomorrow's present. So there is nothing like past, present, future. There is only the eternal now, just like when we are in sound sleep state. But what matters is that whatever you're doing in the present moment, in the waking state, which is based on our sanskaras, either we are doing intelligent action, which is unwinding sanskaras, or unintelligent action, which is spending sanskaras, adding new sanskaras. So that is what it means. It continues to mold the present. So the more we kind of suffer, we realize, okay, now we have to change ourselves, and we start doing intelligent action. Jai Baba.
I just wanted to add probably the spelling of mold, unless it's a new word, MOULD it should be, or MOALD is the word. I think it should be MOULD. But it
No, it's
continues.
okay. It's an English thing. MOLD is fine.
Okay.
I have a say analogy or a imagery for this whole paragraph. As I was thinking on this, what came to my mind is we are we are holding the two sails on a ship, on a small boat in a wilderness in a stormy ocean trying to move ahead. So whatever movement that we make creates more confusion, but still we keep moving and then create our path towards the end. That is what is happening every day with us. Sai Baba.
More wind to your sails, Mama, and to all of us. And let us go in the direction of the shore. So that was a very beautiful. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So that was a very beautiful set of questions, and I think the participation is more expected in the coming classes, so that we make this useful for all of us. We will. What is missing is we have not put these questions up on Trello and made them visible so that it's useful for you to as also see it as a reference, right? So we'll work on that. Meanwhile, let's continue. So we've spent most of today on the questions, which is good. I think as long as we are learning something, that's more important. So we'll continue and at least read a few pages of removal of sanskaras. Is that where we need to start? Right? No, it's the next one. Yeah. So removal of sanskaras part 2. So any questions before we take that up?
I think, Karthik, I think we need to announce in a proper way what we are going to do in the future about these quizzes and what chapter we want to do and all that stuff. That way, people can prepare and come so that they feel comfortable.
Yeah. So we don't have. Yeah, I think we have to coordinate this a little better. So at this time, I'm not even sure if we are ready to do questions for part 1 of formation of samskaras. I mean, removal of samskaras. We don't have them, right, Ravi?
No, we don't have. Kama sent me.
You have not. Okay.
Kama sent me a bunch of questions. Not Kama, sorry.
Khalid.
Khalid, yeah.
Okay. So let's do this. Let's take up part 1, the removal of samskaras. Those questions will be taken up Saturday next week.
Okay.
Okay. So for now, we will be reading part 2, a few pages, and then continue on part 2 tomorrow. Physical book, it's page 49. So I'll send a reminder that on the chapter that we need to focus on for next week. Okay. Jai Baba. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Removal of Sanskaras. Part 2. The dispersion and exhaustion of sanskaras. Subtitle is Negation of Sanskaras Attained Through Control. At the end of part 1, the methods of removing sanskaras are explained that depend chiefly on the principle of negating the positive sanskaras, which also veil the truth from consciousness and prevent self-illumination, for which the whole creation came into being. All these methods of negating the positive sanskaras are ultimately based upon the control of the body and mind. Control of the habitual tendencies of the mind is much more difficult than control of physical actions. The fleeting and evasive thoughts and desires of the mind can be curbed only with great patience and persistent practice. But the restraint of mental processes and reactions is necessary to check the formation of new sanskaras and to wear out or unwind the old sanskaras of which they are expressions. Though control might be difficult at the beginning, through sincere effort, it gradually becomes natural and easy to achieve. Control is deliberate and involves effort as long as the mind is trying to decondition itself through the removal of samskaras. But after the mind is released from the sanskaras, control becomes spontaneous because the mind is then functioning in freedom and understanding. Such control is born of strength of character and health of mind, and it invariably brings with it freedom from fear and immense peace and calmness. The mind, which appears feeble when it is wanton and uncontrolled in its functioning, becomes a source of great strength when it is controlled. Control is indispensable for the conservation of mental energy and the economical use of thought force for creative purposes. Okay, a lot of thought given to control. True control, a creative readjustment in light of true values. Again, the adjustment word comes back. However, if control is purely mechanical and aimless, it defeats its own purpose, which is to make possible the free and unconditioned functioning of the mind. Control that has true spiritual value does not consist in the mechanical repression of thoughts and desires, but is the natural restraint exercised by perception of positive values discovered during the process of experience. True control is therefore not merely negative. When some positive values come within the focus of consciousness, their claims for being expressed in life generate mental responses that ultimately remove all the tendencies obstructing a free and full expression of those values. Thus, the tendencies for lust, greed, and anger are removed through an appreciative recognition of the value of a life of purity, generosity, and kindness. So this is an important line. I'll just read it again. When some positive values come within the focus of consciousness, their claims for being expressed in life generate mental responses that ultimately remove all the tendencies obstructing a free and full expression of those values. Thus, the tendencies for lust, greed, and anger are removed through an appreciative recognition of the value of a life of purity, generosity, and kindness. The mind, becoming accustomed to certain habits of thought and response, does not find it easy to adjust itself to these new claims of its own perceptions, owing to the inertia caused by impressions of previous modes of thought and conduct. This process of readjustment in the light of true values takes the form of what we call controlling the mind. This control is not a mechanical or forcible twisting of the mind. It is an effort of the mind to overcome its own inertia. It is fundamentally creative and not negative in its purpose. For it is an attempt of the mind to arrive at self-adjustment in order to release the expression of the true values of life. So readjustment, adjustment, and then self-adjustment. Okay. Dispersion and exhaustion of sanskaras. Please jump in and ask if anybody has a question or wants a discussion. Creative control becomes possible because the source of light is within everyone and Though self-illumination is prevented by the veil of samskaras, it is not all darkness even within the boundaries of ordinary human consciousness. The ray of light consists of a sense for true values and guides man onward with varying degrees of clarity according to the thickness of the veil of sanskaras. The process of the negation of sanskaras is at the same time the process of understanding true values. Spiritual progress is thus characterized by the dual aspect of renouncing the false values of sanskaras in favor of the true values of understanding. The process of replacing lower values by higher values is the process of sublimation, which consists in diverting the mental energy locked up in the old sanskaras toward creative and spiritual ends. When this energy locked up in the sanskaras is thus diverted, they get dispersed and exhausted. Process of sublimation sustained by unfailing interest. The method of sublimation is the most natural and effective method of breaking through the grooves of old sanskaras and has the special advantage of having an unfailing interest for the aspirant at all stages. The method of mere negation without any substitution is sometimes likely to be boring and may seem to lead to vacuity. But the method of sublimation consists in replacing lower values with higher ones and is therefore full of absorbing interest at every stage, bringing an ever increasing sense of fulfillment. Mental energy can be sublimated into spiritual channels through meditation, selfless service for humanity, and devotion. Meditation, its nature and purpose. Meditation is deep and constant concentration upon an ideal object. In such concentration upon an ideal object, the person is conscious only of the object of meditation, completely forgetting the mind as well as the body. Thus, no new sanskaras are formed and old ones are dispersed and exhausted through the mental activity of dwelling on the object of concentration. Finally, when the sanskaras completely disappear, the soul, as individualized, is dissolved in the intensity of concentration and is merged in the ideal object. I don't recollect whether it was Sunil or Nomita, but then one of you had a question. Here it is clinically answered on how meditation impacts sanskaras. So just a thought, just a reminder or whatever.
Karthik,
Forms of meditation. Yeah.
can we just dwell upon what the process of sublimation? Can that be explained a little bit?
Sure. So, what I understand from sublimation is recognition of higher values and replacement of the higher values by lower values. But anyway, I'll others. Any others?
What is the actual meaning of sublimation?
Sublimation chemically means transition from one state to another. Let me open up.
See,
Look up the
sublimation
dictionary,
is
one second.
when you heat the
Solid
water,
to gas.
it
Solid to
becomes,
gas directly.
yeah, ice becomes, when you supply excessive
Camphor.
heat, it becomes, evaporation, right? But here in this spiritual sense, evaporation of the sanskaras, that's what he's talking about.
So that's the meaning. But then, yeah, chemically, I think sublimation is also solid to gas directly without liquid. So direct change. I remember camphor as being a
Yes,
example.
example. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But even in camphor, actually, it becomes
Yeah.
liquid. Part of it becomes liquid also.
Yes. That's in China. Because if you add wax, then the wax is the liquid that
Yeah,
So pure camphor actually
actually evaporates totally.
Yeah, sublime.
Heat.
Yeah.
I'll just read from the dictionary, which is relevant to our.
Please.
So sublimate, which is basically the verb for sublimation, unconsciously change emotions and activities arising from the instincts into higher or more desirable channels.
Super. So, in the light of that, shall we read this paragraph again now that we have the dictionary meaning? So, let me read this para again. The method of
Excellent.
sublimation. The method of sublimation is the most natural
No, I think,
and effective.
Karthik,
Yeah, go ahead.
you read the first sentence in that page and then go to the paragraph.
Sure. You mean spiritual progress?
Yes.
Sure. So, spiritual progress is thus characterized by the dual aspect of renouncing the false values of sanskaras in favor of the true values of understanding.
Understand.
Yeah. The process of replacing lower values by higher values is the process of sublimation, which consists in diverting the mental energy locked up in the old sanskaras toward creative and spiritual ends. Right? When this energy locked up in the sanskaras is thus diverted, they get dispersed and exhausted. Right? So,
Now you can read that method of sublimation.
yeah.
Good question, Mamaji.
Yeah.
And finally, dispersed and exhausted. Yeah. So the method of sublimation is the most natural and effective method of breaking through the grooves of old sanskaras and has the special advantage of having an unfailing interest for the aspirant at all stages. The method of mere negation without any substitution is sometimes likely to be boring and may seem to lead to vacuity.
Yes, that
So
is
just
what is
negation, that's the reason for sublimation being superior. So, but the method of sublimation consists in replacing lower values with higher ones and is therefore full of absorbing interest at every stage, bringing an ever increasing sense of fulfillment. And then he says mental energy can be sublimated into spiritual channels through meditation, selfless service for humanity, and devotion.
So
Does
that
that
is
help, Ashok?
Yeah, it answers. Thank you.
Yeah, Mama.
here the importance is value system needs to be kept on a change all the time. So you need to understand the value systems under which you are clouded now with the sanskaras. Think over that, and then if you feel there is a higher value system beyond this, then try to catch on that. In this process, you are going to leave the lower value systems. So that is how you progress in the spiritual path. This is how I look at this. So this can be done in so many different ways, either by intellectual, say, jugglery, trying to do this, which can also help you in the progress towards knowledge, or you can try to give a, say, go by for this and then go to the path of devotion, try to stick on in another path, or actually go to the path of love also. So all these different paths, I feel, they are trying to go to the newer value systems, leaving away the old value systems.
So I
So
think if I can suggest, for the better in place of new and old, we could use false and real.
false and reals means you are definite about the new value system as real,
Real.
but you may not land in that sometimes. You may catch on to something which is also in illusion
False.
or false.
Yes.
So you have to be very clear about that and struggle to identify the proper path also.
True.
Yes.
Point taken. Cool. So another great day of reading, launching our weekend, and hopefully we'll have another great reading tomorrow. I will stop at this point and reread meditation. So no tests, no test tomorrow, but please reread what we did today. Right? So I think personally, I've loved the audio file. Okay, this is an honest confession. The audio file is a way of registering, re-registering, and re-registering these thoughts, and it has been very helpful for me. And I please, you know, trying to motivate all of you to try to do that as well, right? Because we surely spend time on activities where the audio file can be switched on and you can listen during the week. And it doesn't take more than 20-30 minutes for a chapter, right? Please take advantage of that.
Karthik, one clarification with the introduction of Trello, where are the audio files stored now?
Actually, I have put the links to the audio files in Trello, but they are stored. They continue to be stored and available in
Okay.
Teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is linked
So
to the
I
YouTube.
suggest.
Ah,
Yeah, I suggest that all of you please download from Teams the full Discourses audio books so that they are available locally on your phones, ideally phones, because why would you spend time on a laptop listening to an audio file? So on your phones, get the files, and it doesn't take too much space. And you know, on your walk, on your travel, on your free time, just switch on and pick up from where you left off and focus on the chapter that we have just read it. I mean, just concluded reading on. So it helps you catch up and refresh and further deepen the learning.
yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Jai Baba, announcement today, 9 p.m. India time. I'm having a talk on practical life awakenings based on Baba's discourses and God speaks. And this is arranged by a US Baba get together. So I'll send the details. And
It's 9 o'clock there, right? Right now? What is the time
No, it's
now?
9 p.m. India.
9 p.m. India, 9 p.m. India, which is tomorrow morning for you, I think,
For you.
Ravi, around 10 or 11 or something like
10:30.
that.
10:30.
So I'll send the details of that. I think it's a Zoom call or something. There's a password also. I'll send that and see if you guys can attend and would love to get your feedback. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Thank you.
So if you want planted questions or if you want some Galata, we can help you there. Just let us know. Okay, Vipul has another question on lower and higher values, but you want to take that up now or we can take it up tomorrow? The
Yeah,
question
let's
is, can someone enumerate lower
we
and
can
higher
take
values?
it up tomorrow.
Okay, sure. We'll take that up before we start.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Where is the question
First,
posted?
no, he's posted it right here on the chat because I wanted to
Okay,
postpone it to tomorrow because
Okay,
I
okay.
brought in this true and false, and Mama gave another spin, which is new and old, and then we also have lower and higher. Baba refers to true and false in discourses, and lower and higher, and the new and old is also interesting. So we'll take all three flavors of values before we start reading.
Caught up in the opposites.
Yes, duality, duality, duality. It will continue to haunt us.
Thank you.
Jai Baba, Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
Baba,
Jai Baba,
Jai
Jai
Baba.
Sanskar
Baba.
Baba ki jai.
Jai.
Have a great Saturday and see you all tomorrow.